Welcome to the Opinionated Benchwarmers Podcast, episode 187. Your opinionated benchwarmers are back to do what we do best, and that's discuss sports. Today, it's very, very special. We got our brother back with us after missing a couple episodes. You know, life be lifing. How you gentlemen feeling today?
On you, Ramon. I'm eating. My bad. Go ahead. My
This man
bad.
trying to multitask while we pod. Huh? He take a week or two off, and now he confused on how to pod. But man, I'm doing good, man. As I say, kind of the usual. It's always a blessing and opportunity to be able to pod with my brothers. I know we didn't have a chance recently, of course, too, to hop in a dynasty draft. So I know a lot of interesting things happen with that, and it's kind of has you in that mindset. I know all three of us kind of been in that GM mode, so that's kind of where my head is. But I think I'll ping it over to Los now. I think he took his last little bite or two right now. So
Yeah, I'm good to go. My bad, man. I'm still a little rusty right there. But what I'll say is, yeah, I'll say the same thing, man. The dynasty juices are going right now. It's so hard, it's because I want to tweak certain things on players I like, but I got competition that's following me. I want to get through these drafts. But again, what we doing today, I'm gonna let it all hang out, whatever. I think I've got through two of my main drafts, so it won't hurt me as much. But again, it's hard because a lot of stuff, a lot of players I like later on in the draft.
Yo, I appreciate everything that you've done, bro, and everything. I'm sure the listeners will be appreciative of everything that we're about to do right now to help them get through their dynasty drafts. We appreciate all the love and support. Like I always like to lead off. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast, wherever you like to listen to your podcast at. And make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube as well. Just search Opinionated Benchwarmers. Hit the bell on the videos to be notified when we release content. Also, make sure that you are subscribed to that YouTube for whenever we drop. And then share it with a friend. That's the quickest way to make us grow. Actually, leave comments if you disagree with any of the picks. Whatever it is that you can do to interact, that all helps. But we're going to jump into it, man. We got, like you said, I mean, everything we do on this podcast is authentic. Right now, we're in the heat of dynasty drafts, and we all are in multiple dynasty leagues. Some of us are in three or four. I think Lowe's in four, and which is something that has become fun, a little bit more fun. And to for a little context for anybody that's new to dynasty football, it really mirrors real life. It's everlasting. It's ever evolving. You do your first startup draft, and then after that, years after, you're just doing rookie drafts to re-up the roster. So in between in the off season, it's you making deals, you're making trades. You got to really put on that GM hat. It's a fun way to play fantasy. So if you're into fantasy and redraft is just not enough for you, or keeper leagues is just not enough, and you want to do it year round, this is the league for you. If you're the person that just doesn't want to, they lock in during the football season and then get out of it once football season over. This is not for you. But for the avid fantasy player, this is for you. And we have something special on this episode as promised on the previous episode. And we got Los back on this one. We want to talk about Dynasty Draft. And we're actually going to do something that we've never done in the history of the podcast. We've been doing this for almost 7 years, and we've never done a live mock draft. And we're going to do a dynasty mock draft just for the first round. I'm excited about it. So lock in, tap in. Gentlemen, what do y'all think? What is your approach when you're going into a dynasty draft? If you were to, when you're doing a startup, I'm sure the listeners want to hear from each of us. What's your mindset when you're walking into that dynasty league?
Yeah, my mindset every time I go into a dynasty league is expect the unexpected, right? You in every dynasty league, you're going to have your mock drafts, and you're going to do your mock drafts beforehand, the computerized ones, and all those different things. And you've probably been getting this guy every time in these mock drafts. Don't expect that to happen because most likely you're going to have a eyeball in your league that's going to pick off or going to do something crazy that's going to make somebody else. So expect you may have a guy that you like at a certain position, but expect that somebody that a more talented player may fall to the position and be okay with taking talent over your favorite player. Just take the talent, take the best available. Don't try to draft for need for your dynasty. Gain assets is really what I look at it as.
yeah, and I would say too, to venture off of, mentioning startups, I think one of the biggest things is not getting caught up in the hype of some of the guys they may be top tier players, but they're getting kind of a little bit more up in age. Guys that may be on the brink of hitting their 30s and things of that sort. I kind of try to stay away from that as much as I can in startups. As it relates to startups at this point, and I learned my lesson from doing the wrong thing some years ago, about 5 years or 6 years ago, when we started up our Dynasty League. I went to kind of straight win now mode. And what I decided when I rectified that years later, I identified players that are up and coming, that are kind of reaching that peak moment, and that I can sustain kind of a contention window from jump. So my whole thing and my whole strategy was how can I do both? How can I be young enough to be relevant for some time, but also contend initially? And so finding out that delicate balance initially to me is a big piece.
Yeah, I think one of my strong suits, and I'm sure y'all agree with me, I'm probably one of the better drafters that you could, have in a league. I think my weakness is just in self-reflection in the mirror. Is sometimes I don't make the best decision when it comes down to trades, or I don't think further down the line, which I've improved upon. But drafting, me as a draft, what I like to, I'm a self-proclaimed draft whiz. I think that when I approach a startup in a dynasty draft, I do want to go unorthodox as opposed to my competition because traditionally or historically, fantasy players that's just getting into dynasty, they get confused with can get confused with redraft. So they'll find themselves drafting those older players, not thinking about further down the line. For example, if a first round pick or a rookie first round pick, which you'll see in our first round mock draft, if you take like last year, if you take I'll take a Brian Thomas, right, in the second round, right? That seems really, really crazy in a redraft. Maybe I wouldn't have done that last year. And it paid off significantly for me in this league this year. Now, as a sophomore year, I'm walking in there with a wide receiver four, and he's only 22 years old. That's what you kind of want to find. And that kind of piggybacks off of what Ramon said and finding that balance of young studs and then finding those veterans to supplement that and then go from there. But I'm excited to get into this mock draft, but that's my approach when I approach a dynasty league. I want to find that balance, but I want to go on unorthodox. I want to do what my competition is not going to do. If I see a trend of them taking veterans like a Jettas, let's in this league in this time day and time, you're doing a start now. You taking the Jettas? Okay. Well, let me see. Maybe this year I will go Travis Hunter, right? And see what, and balance that out because at the end of the day, it doesn't reset. So that your squad is your squad and you have to prepare for the future. So I think when you go into those drafts, you got to prepare for future and look forward. So I'm excited to get into this mock draft. Without further ado, let's jump into it. Los has the first pick, right? For
Yeah, yeah.
1.01. Let's get this thing set up.
Yeah. So first I love that we just giving these folks the startup stuff. This is mainly gonna be the ones that have the draft already. It's our rookie draft. And so it's easy. If you already did your startup, right, and you have your rookie draft, it's easy for me when you do this. You're gonna start with a Genty, right? I think that's consensus number one pick this year. Generational talent, and I don't say that lightly. And I think I said this before on another pod is, when your numbers are compared to a Barry Sanders and the things that he did, and you come second in yardage with him from college, you have to. And it fits, right? He went to the Las Vegas Raiders, who needed a running back. He had zero competition there, or light competition, I should say. There, and he's going to get the carries. He's going to be the guy. Easy pick. Genty, number one.
All right. Well, we're doing Ryan Robinson style, so I got number two. I'm on the clock, and when I'm looking at this rookie draft, I like Omari and Hampton here. I think oftentimes what you find when you play fantasy, finding running backs is tough to find, but it's even tougher to find a very very talented running back that I feel like Genty is on the level of his own, but I feel like Omari and Hampton in any other draft probably would have been the first running back off the board. Genty's just out of this world. But you look at the situation that he's in, and you look at how run heavy Harbaugh was last year, and you look at what he was able to do with the running back position. Well, now he has somebody that he can be, that has the burst, that has the elusiveness, and can is a home run hitter. And I think that he will be in a committee to start off, but I think I'll be shocked by the end of the year if he's not the lead back out of that back. So give me Omari Hampton. I want to add him on my roster. Running backs are hard to find.
Does that running backfield scare you a little bit though, with him having Najee Harris being there, a veteran? Does that scare you at all? That number two pick?
I don't think so. I mean, Najee is there, and I do think that Najee will be a factor. He will take away from Omari and Hampton, but I do think that eventually the cream will rise to the top. And I think, just looking at the draft capital that they spent on Omari and Hampton, they plan on using him or him being a part of that offense. So I'm good with it. even if he's catching balls out of the backfield, that's points in fantasy. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I think as well too, it depends on kind of what your team, how they're constructed currently. Like, are you in a true rebuild where you can also wait a little bit of time as you are stacking and consolidating these picks? And so to me, if you're in like a true rebuild, then you can even wait on Amari and Hampton, even if it doesn't pop from week one or week two, or even if it doesn't pop the rookie season, you still have some time because you're building your team over time. Now, if you're expecting him to be a part of a championship contending team, then that's where you got to kind of make some of those tough decisions right there. But I agree with that second pick. I think that that's where I would go as well too. So I guess I'm on the clock at this point for the third pick. And without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and take Mr. Heisman Trophy himself, Travis Hunter, at the 3 slot. Now, I do know that this is a controversial pick, because some people are still questioning whether playing two sides of the ball is still going to be able to work out at the NFL level. Obviously, we saw what he was able to do in college. That led him to be able to win, of course, the Heisman Trophy. A guy that was also a finalist for both the Biletnikoff and also to the Thorpe Award. So it's something that we haven't really seen. But I think in initial reports, it's really expressed that they are going to play him offensively. It really seems that they're truly invested with Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas being their two signature weapons right now for Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, when you have a guy in Trevor Lawrence that's a younger quarterback, but he's kind of progressing to get a little bit more age on him, you want to make sure that they have those proper weapons surrounding them. And as you've talked about with Genty as being a generational type guy, Travis Hunter, from an athletic standpoint, is a generational athlete. And so, right here, I'm going to take the risk. Instead of maybe going with somebody I know that's a little bit more surefire and going to be specifically playing the wide receiver position, I'm still going to go with the big time talent, big time boom, and Travis Hunter is my guy.
look, I
So are
love the
you
pick.
Yeah, I love that pick too, and I think that's not even as controversial. Are you okay with somebody taking him at 2 if they decide to take him at 2?
Yeah, yeah, I think I'm okay with them taking them at 2. Probably if it's me and if I was sitting there like Rob, I probably would still go Omari and Hampton, but I would not, oppose or make a big argument about, taking Travis Hunter too, especially when we see that a lot of dynasty leagues, you are operating with 3 wide receivers automatically. It's a lot of more so wide receiver driven in dynasty. So, for me, I wouldn't have a big issue if somebody took him at 2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
the
on
thing
the
I look
clock.
at too.
My
Oh
bad,
my
brother. Go
bad.
ahead.
Just a little bit more commentary quickly. I look at that they just released Gabriel Davis not too long ago. I think yesterday. So I mean, it kind of gives you a peek into the psyche there. They dropped another receiver and added him. I think Travis Hunter is going to be on offense, and I think that's all he's going to play. If he plays on defense, it's not going to be a lot of snaps. So this may be a steal here. I saw in my earlier mock drafts that you was able to get Travis Hunter at 5, and I think in my dynasty league, one of them, and I did get him at 5. But I love the pick and I love the value because it's worth the risk because, like you say, he's that generational of an athlete. But go ahead, Los. My bad.
Yeah, with my pick at 4, I'll go with I'm gonna go with T Mac here. I don't love the pick here. This is not the great. I'm not the highest guy on T Mac, and I think I told Rob this offline. I love the opportunity that he has. He has the opportunity to step in and instantly be the wide receiver one. If I'm in that 4 position, I'm also considering Travion Henderson in this position because again, honestly, smartly, I'll take T Mac because of the opportunity, but I'm heavily considering Travion Henderson based on my roster because I'm okay with Travion Henderson's split backfield, right? A lot of people are scared off by that, but you don't take a guy that high in the second round if you don't plan on using him. And I love his explosiveness. But again, this is about T Mac. Back to T Mac. Yeah, no, I think he's going to do well in this. Bryce Young, he advocated for him, so I think that speaks volumes to him. It was just a lot of reports that came out about T Mac before the draft and things that, he only worked hard when the scouts showed up. It's like he cut off a lot of routes and stuff and, for overall and throw balls. So the work ethic thing kind of worries me for him. But if he can get things together and he start clicking, we clearly seen the talent in college.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with you. I like T Mac too. I hate that as a Saints fan, I always bring back to the Saints. I'm getting like Los now. I have to see him twice a year, unfortunately. But like you said, Los, he has no competition there. So, I mean, I think that, he's going to see a lot of volume. and that's what you drafting a guy for. So depending on what your roster need, I think that that's a great pick for especially the fourth pick to get somebody that it's sort of like a plug and play. And Black Mamba actually got T Mac at the fourth pick, which I was shocked to get him. But at that spot because he go 2 or 3. But yeah, I like that pick too.
Yeah.
Um, for me at the fifth pick, because I agree with Los too. I think Trayvon probably would go there, but I'm gonna go Trayvon Henderson. I mean, I love the situation with a Drake May. I like the Patriots and how they're building that team. They're continuously loading up on offensive talent. Trayvon Henderson, I know Drake May will be happy to get him. We got Ramondre Stevenson in there. Ramondre Stevenson is a pass catching back to me. I think Trayvon Henderson is a more talented back, and I think it will start off as a committee, but I think eventually, again, the cream will rise to the top. I'm gonna go Trayvon and bank on that at the second half of this season. He'll be leading that backfield and carries and add on to the value that you're looking for. Running backs come far in between. I'll go Trayvon here.
Yeah. No, I agree with the pick. Not too much to add there. That's where I would go if I were at five. Honestly, if y'all don't have anything, I'll move on to six right quick. And the guy that I have is really his college teammate. I am a Quinshon Judkins fan. He's a guy that since his freshman year, really at Ole Miss, stepped onto the college scene and was an instant boom, instant production. We talk about a guy too that even has similar measurables to Amarion Hampton, the guy that you just took at the number 2 spot. We know that Cleveland backfield that they have moved on from Nick Chubb. You just have Jerome Ford back there, along with also Dylan Sampson that was drafted in the 4th round. But you're talking about a running back that gets round 2 draft capital, and really has all of the tools that you look for to be a feature back. He was a guy too that saw a lot of goal line work when he was at Ohio State as well too. And they were truly just that perfect complement to each other at Ohio State. So it's almost kind of like poetic justice that they would go back to back within this particular dynasty mock draft. What I would say as well too is that I know that you're seeing right now a lot of movement of running backs and receivers. This is off the basis of a 1 QB league as well too. So I do want to point out this is not a super flex mocks that we have, because you know a lot of times quarterbacks go kind of high within that. This is a 1 QB mock draft that we have, but I think that Quinshon Judkins to me will be the obvious guy at 6.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked. We all share a dynasty, a Black Mamba dynasty league, in representation to Kobe. And I was shocked that he was there at 8. That was a pick that I traded in. Emeka Ibuka went before him, and then I believe Caleb Johnson went before him. And so things like that, I think it was some fandom in there. I don't know, but I was completely shocked he fell out at 8. But moving on to the next pick, I'm gonna actually pick Caleb Johnson here, and this is kind of it can go either way right here, but it's again team build. I like Caleb Johnson here just because Jalen Warren is going to set to be a free agent next year. Caleb Johnson's comps are players like James Conner, like I forget the name. I can see it's one of the gosh, I can't think of his name right now, but the running back that used to Le'Veon Bell. There it is. Le'Veon Bell. His comps are to these guys who play for the Steelers and who had success with the Steelers. So again, I'm taking him at 7, and I'm feeling good about it with Jalen Warren becoming a free agent next year.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
I can see it, and I think that there's a lot of opportunity with that backfield. I think that there's opportunity day one, even with Jalen Warren there, and like you said, just going forward, obviously he can end up getting the lion's share of carries. So with Dynasty, this is not just, of course, looking at this particular year, but you're trying to forecast as well too. So you're paying attention to what the depth chart looks like right now, but what is that depth chart going to look like in a year or two as well too? And I think that he's a guy that this is the big time, what I would say, running back draft class. This is one of the best to me running back classes that we've seen in a little while. So I think that honestly, seeing this many guys go within the top 7, we got 5 running backs off the board in the top 7 picks, which is very interesting.
Yep. So it's back to me. I'm gonna go Coast and Loveland here. I get that on most boards you have Tyler Warren as the number 1 tight end in this draft, which I'm not mad at it because of the talent and what he was able to do in Penn State. He was their offense. But I look at a Loveland who's just as talented, and falling into a situation with a better quarterback. I do realize there's a lot of targets out there You got Romeo, of course. You got DJ Moore. You got just a plethora of guys over there that has to be fed. But I do look at Ben Johnson and him being his coach, and I think about what he was able to do with Sam Laporta his rookie season and what Sam Laporta was able to do. And I think that Loveland's talent mirrors that. So I'm thinking that Loveland's gonna get some work here. And I like his fall. I like his spot better than I like Tyler Warren, which is why I'm going with him. And I think eventually, once the veterans move on, he'll be more of a part of the offense. So I'm gonna go Loveland with that eighth pick.
What's wrong with the Colts? I'm confused. What's going on? Why you don't like the? I'm just playing.
I don't.
Trying to stir
Yeah,
the pot
I
a
don't
little bit
like
right here.
I don't like the quarterback situation. I don't like Richardson as the quarterback. I don't like Daniel Jones for obvious reasons. So I think that it's gonna be I think it's gonna be interesting to see. I don't know how that's gonna pan out. So that's why I feel more comfortable taking Loveland. I like when first round picks. I like to hit at least semi for sure. Once you get to the back end of the first round, there's no for sure's, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I mean I can see it. What I'll say, and moving on to the ninth pick real quick, I'm gonna go ahead here. I was a little bit kind of back and forth between two guys, and y'all probably be shocked because neither of those guys happen to be Tyler Warren. Actually, I'm between Emeka Ibuka and RJ Harvey here, but I'm actually go with the wide receiver talent here with Emeka Ibuka. And the reason why I'm gonna go with this is from a long-term standpoint. I think that obviously you see that the receivers, main guys over there, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin are kind of aging a little bit. I do understand that the team and just kind of feel like they invested in Chris Godwin again, which was a little bit of a shock for me. So from just a pure football sense, I didn't 100% get this pick, but I think that Emeka Ibuka is a guy that's been identified as one of the top tier wide receivers in this draft and really this draft class for years. I think that, he winds up in a situation where even you look at he's overlooked Baker Mayfield, but he finishes the QB4 in fantasy football last year from just spreading the ball around. And so I think that even if it isn't year one for Emeka Ibuka, I think that eventually, of course, that wide receiver room will clear up and he'll be the clear guy there. So I'm looking long term with the Emeka Ibuka pick.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people are
I like
scared
it.
off because their wide receiver room is quote unquote quiet, or crowded, But there's a lot of older guys. He's going to eventually have that receiver room to himself.
Yeah.
So if you're a little patient, you got to be patient in Dynasty. But moving on, I'll go with RJ Harvey. I think you get him at the 10th pick is a slam dunk. You got a guy that is set to be the starting running back for the Denver Broncos, who a guy that we thought was probably going to go a little later than he did, but he went second round. The draft capital for me in Dynasty matters. When a team take a player first, second round, with that current regimen, I think that they definitely are going to use them, right? They have to. It's like you're not going to use that type of draft capital and not use this guy. So again, I like RJ Harvey. I don't think he has much. He got McLaughlin over there, and a bunch of other guys. I think Esther Ostame
Yeah.
is over there. Again, a bunch of Jags, in my opinion, respectfully. And I think RJ Harvey is going to make some plays right away with that team. He is a little bit older as a rookie, 23, 24 years old. But again, I think he is ready to go. I like that pick a lot at 10.
And you just gotta let the listeners know just in
Oh,
case he means just a guy when he says a jag, just to let y'all know.
Yes.
Jack. Yeah, so we back at me, right, with that 11th pick. Okay. With the 11th pick, I'm going with Luther Burden. Mr. Burden. I don't think that you'll have to spend a first round pick, but I just want to talk about this talented slot receiver. I do realize he, again, is going to a situation where there's a log jam in miles to feed over in Chicago. But again, you got to look at Ben Johnson and what he's able to do with slot receivers historically and in comparison to what he's done with God, St. Brown,
Yeah.
Amon St. Brown. So I think that this is a long play though. I mean, you might have to wait a season or two until this comes in fruition. But if your roster is built to where you can wait, I think that you have a very, very talented receiver and a potential stud coming emerging. Now, if Luther Burton just show out, which it could happen, the percentage is very low with what he has to deal with over there. But if he does, it may be sooner rather than later. And you got him with the 11th pick. So I like Luther Burden in spot right here.
Not
Yeah.
only that, you're getting a motivated guy. I'll say this quickly. He getting a motivated guy. I think he was upset that he was expecting to be a first round guy. He didn't quite, frankly, go first round, but I think, and he had the videos and stuff showing that he was working out during the draft and saying that, everyone pretty much made mistakes. So you're getting a guy with a chip on his shoulder too, and we've seen the talent when he gets the ball in his hand. One of the best run after catch guys in the draft.
Yeah. And honestly, for a while, he was looked at as wide receiver, no lower than wide receiver three in this class, probably wide receiver two, honestly, for a while. And it was projected to definitely be a clear first round pick. So just had a little bit of a down final year over there in Missouri, but the talent is there, no doubt. With the final pick to wrap up this mock draft, I'm gonna go ahead and take my guy Tyler Warren. He slid right down there at number 12 to me.
You got to
He
take
is
them.
Yeah, I gotta take him, gotta represent for my Colts. One of the things that you need to me for a young quarterback, especially a young quarterback that, as I've been, transparent with y'all, has some issues from a passing standpoint. You want to develop a safety net for him. And what better than to get a tight end that's that safety net, able to dump it down to him. Tyler Warren, obviously, between he and Colston Loveland, they're the clear two type tight ends in this class. And I think that what you've seen, honestly, over time too, is that shift in how tight ends are now being viewed from a fantasy, especially dynasty standpoint. You had obviously what Sam Laporta was able to do in his rookie year, and then you went and really one up that with what Brock Bowers was able to do as a rookie. So you're seeing these tight ends start to be utilized even more. Some kind of even almost commanding wide receiver two, wide receiver one-ish type numbers. And so I think that Tyler Warren is just that safety net for a young quarterback over there in Indy. And so I'm not going to pass on that talent right there at the back end of the first.
I love it. I love it. I love the pick. Talent trumps everything. If you're able to get Tyler Warren at 12, I think that's a best pick as you can get at that spot. You're trying to get somebody that's definitive, and although he may not spark this year, like you mentioned, I think he will down the line because talent dominates. But
Yeah.
for the listener, there's a treat for the YouTubers. We actually got it pulled up. So if you're a traditional listener and you want to see a visual, we actually have the draft pulled up. But if you're listening, a recap of the mock draft: picks 1 through 12, QB1, full PPR, Dynasty Rookie Draft. We got Ashton Genty. Los picked them at 1. We got number 2. I picked Omarion Hampton. Ramon went and picked Travis Hunter at 3. Then Los went T-Mac at 4. Travion Henderson, I picked at 5. At 6, Los picked Judkins. At 7, Ramon went Caleb Johnson. At 8, I went Caleb Loveland. I think I said his first name wrong, but
Colston,
we'll move
Colston.
on.
Posting.
Colston. And then we got Ramon went Ibuka at 9, and Los went RJ Harvey at 10, and Luther Burden, wide receiver, at pick 11. I went Luther Burden. I'm looking at his Colts signal on the screen. But anyway, I went Luther Burden at 10, and then Ramon wrapped up that first round at Tyler Warren. Gentlemen, I want to as you look at those picks on the screen, if the draft went as so, what would be your favorite landing spot for who at what spot?
Yeah, I'll have to look at the RJ Harvey at 10, because I've seen him. His steam has picked up, right? Before the draft happened, he was like a second rounder and all that. And now, if you get him at 10, you're pretty much feeling lucky because he's been going as high as 7, 8, or 9.
Yeah, honestly, if I look at it, man, I'm just a big Ashton Genty guy, and I know this is not crazy of him falling
Yeah,
and sliding to somebody,
yeah.
but this is Ashton Genty for me and everybody else. And so I've been trying desperately to get to the 1-1 in in the dynasty league that I have to get Ashton Genty, man. He is just different for me. So that's going to be the prized possession, even though it's not like he's falling from a value standpoint.
Um, I think what is a sneaky pick for me, it happened to me in real life, but I thought, getting T-Mac at 4, I thought that if you were able to get him that late in the draft, I think that was probably one of the things that I would love because you got a guy that's going to immediately command targets. He's going to be the alpha receiver in Carolina. So to get that at 4, I think that you won, especially with this draft. It's a little weaker than most drafts, but if you ever get that at 4, I loved it a lot. So we hope that you enjoyed that. We look to do more of these in the future, hopefully with as fantasy approaches with maybe some other formats and redrafts. If you like that, leave a comment or DM us. Let us know that you love this, and we'll do it again. But this was fun, guys. I hope to do it again, man, and to get into speaking to the minds of these great fantasy minds on this podcast, including myself. But we're gonna go ahead and get on out of here, man. We appreciate all the love and support. Make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast, Opinionated Benchwarmers, wherever you listen to your podcast at. Make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube as well. Just search Opinionated Benchwarmers. Make sure that you're subscribed, hit the bell, get notified when we drop content. And until next time, we're out of here.
Later.